everyone, welcome to GT Time. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us as always is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones and Daniel Bloodworth. And in the super seat this week, Ben Moore.
Hello.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, Kyle.
The rotating question for the super seat on this rotation is for you to tell us about the last time you had a great idea.
So, I've put a lot of thought into this.
Okay.
And my idea is not as clever or humorous as Nopra from Elise Williams.
Hard to beat Nopra.
Yeah, it is really hard to beat. But I thought I would give a recommendation, something I started watching that I think is actually incredible and not game related. On Netflix, there's a series called Black Mirror. And it's sort of a modern day Twilight Zone that is very satirical, supremely well written, and just devastating. Like every single episode that I watch, it's the kind of show where I take a step back and I think about it for like an hour, just sitting there. It's that intense, it's that crazy. I think people should check it out. It's one of the coolest shows I've seen in a long time.
So to clarify this, your great idea was either to watch it or your great idea is to recommend it.
My great idea is I don't have a lot of time.
Sure.
And so my great idea was I'm going to give this a shot. Because
Okay.
each episode is an hour long. And I took a chance because my free time is very valuable to me.
Oh, to
and
all
it
of us,
paid
yes.
off in spades. I had no idea what to expect going into the show.
The man constantly playing Hearthstone. Free time. Very valuable.
Hearthstone is important.
Wow, that was a burn right there.
Not on this show. I will
And
not
I-
forgive people saying video games are a waste of time on this show. I will not allow it.
Just certain video games.
Game Trailers
Just
Game of the
according to
Year
Blitz.
2014.
Yeah.
Waste of time.
It can be.
Hearthstone had its shot. Let's move on.
So while we're correcting each other, let's get into our official corrections. Begin correction music, please. Maxis didn't make Sim Tower. So last week we were naming off a bunch of games we thought Maxis made. Sim Tower was actually made by Open Book, directed by Yut Saito, who also made Odama and Seaman.
Yeah. There's another thing that I knew that just didn't catch my eye when we said it.
Okay, so you knew. All right, do you know what the subtitle of Sim Tower is?
Nah.
Has anyone ever played Odama?
But I think it,
Because
like-
that game seems
I bet Blood played
crazy.
Odama.
I played it at E3, but I didn't ever play it when
That
it
was
came
that
out.
pinball samurai game?
Yeah, it was
Right?
crazy.
Yeah, okay.
Like there's armies, and you're just smashing the armies with your giant pinball.
I feel like a game such as Odama would not get made today.
Oh no.
Why not?
Well, it'd be an indie game. It would be a small indie game.
Yeah, but I don't think Nintendo would be putting out Odama.
Right. The Vertical Empire, by the way. Sim Tower, the Vertical Empire.
Huh.
So there you have it. HTC's VR headset is pronounced Vive.
Okay.
That just aggravates me when that's said.
Did we
Yeah.
what? How do we pronounce it?
Vive.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't like
alright.
either of those.
Vive.
Vita, Vive. I think all the V words are they're done.
No more left. Track IR. So the Track IR is a really cool thing you can put on your monitor, and it actually tracks your head. And so we were talking about how in a lot of first-person shooters you can't have your body, your gun facing one way and look the other. It turns out with Track IR in games like Arma, you can do that. Even without Track IR, actually, you can hold down a button in Arma and look around still. So we have that capability without VR headsets, is what we learned from the comments. Delcast had a cool comment in regards to Bloodworth's thought about a lot of engines becoming free. He said that basically going free was the only option for Source and Unreal. Like, they're getting so stomped right now. I guess Unity's where it's at. All
Yeah.
developers love Unity.
Ori and the Blind Forest is on Unity.
Yeah, and Unity's, like, its free version is apparently great right now.
Can I pose a question?
Please.
I feel as though id spent so much time and so much money on id Tech, and no one uses it outside of id and Bethesda.
Right.
Why? Is it just not as good?
I think it's just tricky.
Did they have it set up for licensing as much stuff?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure, but I'm pretty positive you can license id Tech.
And I think something like Unity, where you can just port it easily across many platforms, I think that's just so appealing, and how easy it is. And also how many assets you can buy for it. Just it has a really cool asset store as opposed to the other places. So it's just like stomping right now.
Random, very quick aside.
Okay.
It blew me away.
The corrections music is still playing this whole time.
It blew me away that Guilty Gear XR'd was made in Unreal Engine.
Yeah, that's
because
crazy.
I feel like there was a period of time where every Unreal Engine looked the same, and I never would have thought something like Guilty Gear would be made using that engine.
Absolutely. And corrections music.
Sorry.
Never apologize for that. Let's get into game news. Everyone knows how I love to start an episode of GT Time. We have ourselves a game announcement.
And it's Pokemon related.
It's not Pokemon related at all.
It is Pokemon related. It's absolutely
There's
Pokemon related.
nothing. There's no Pokemon. The game is called Tembo the Badass Elephant. The point is that it is not Pokemon related. What is this game? It's from Game Freak, who frequently develops Pokemon games. This is. It's a 2D side scroller in which you're an elephant. You are a badass elephant. It's coming to Xbox One, PS4, PC. Nothing Nintendo owns.
And
Which is
Sega
pretty
is
crazy.
publishing.
Sega is publishing, and this is the first time Game Freak has made a game that hasn't appeared on a Nintendo console since 1999. Oh, hold on, I have the game's name. Clickmedic. So
I don't know what that is.
Clickmedic?
Nope, don't know it.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's a PlayStation game.
I remember
from Game Freak.
Drill Dozer.
Yep, but I mean that was on Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, that is like one of the few times that they've made a non-Pokemon game.
Right.
Like, recently.
Yeah.
That wasn't even recently, really.
Well, so they made Harmonite last year.
Yeah.
And apparently a mobile game about like horse racing that also appeared on the 3DS. So this is the first time they're just like, hey, Nintendo, you don't get any of this. So that's what's pretty crazy. That's what's pretty crazy that Game Freak is up to. Published by Sega. Is anyone else shocked by this?
I'm not shocked, but some of the comments they made were they really like the old mascot platformers of the day, things like Sonic and Mario. And, you know, Game Freak hasn't made a bad game in a long time. Mostly they've been making Pokemon. And it's cool. I like those. I grew up with those mascot platformers, so I'll definitely check it out. But something that's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine is when you have badass in the title.
Whoa.
I get that there's a certain vibe that they're going for, but I just feel like that's so on the nose. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to tell me your character is badass, I instantly don't think he's badass. Like, let him speak for himself. If he's badass, show me cool stuff that he's doing. Don't say he's a badass elephant. I don't know.
Very true. I think I'd have a bigger problem with it if it was like a cool game. If it was like Marcus Phoenix, the bad guy, the badass shooter gun guy. You know what I
Sure.
mean? But this is a badass elephant. This is a 2D cartoony game.
I do like to play against elephant. Like, you don't normally
Right.
associate elephants with being badass. Like, you'd think
Right.
a
There are very
badass would be
few.
like a dog or like, you know, like a yeti or something that's like aggressive and, you know, something you could easily put like sunglasses on and you wouldn't think about it. But like elephant, I get, and maybe that's the play that they're just like, it's not just an elephant, it's a badass elephant.
You're never going to fit a pair of shades on an elephant.
As if to suggest all other elephants aren't badass. This is kind of like the one of the herd that stands out.
Yeah, well, I think
She's
that's
badassed him.
well, that's the interesting thing because you know elephants and hippos like they kill more people than real predators every year, but people think of them as you know cute, cuddly little things.
Elephants kill a lot of people?
Hippos certainly do.
Absolutely,
are nasty.
absolutely. Elephants will rip people in half.
Cool.
There's something
Badass.
about...
When you're actually in Africa seeing elephants, it's a little intimidating. Yeah,
Hold on. I'm sorry. Blood, have you been in Africa?
yeah,
Seeing elephants?
yes,
Did you see an elephant kill a person?
no.
Okay.
But the ranger, you know, like our guys were like prodding the ranger for like all the horror stories. And
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So.
And the
When were
ranger
you in
was
Africa?
affected.
Huh.
The ranger was like visibly affected.
I don't know if he's visibly affected, but he was just telling people like, no, this is for real kind of stuff. You know, it's like this stuff happens. Pay attention to me. Listen to what I say. Don't go running off in the field like the dancers in our group did, chasing zebra or something like that. Yeah, that was not a smart move.
And dancers, by the way. We don't need to inquire about that. How he knew they were dancers or what.
No, I mean
That's
they were with
applicable
us.
to the story.
We had a dance team. We had a film team.
Oh,
So wait, which team
okay.
were you on?
I was on the film team.
Okay. Why? What film were you making?
We made like a little mini documentary on
Elephant murder.
no, not elephant murder. It was I'm trying to now I can't think of the word for it.
Poaching?
No, we weren't there. We weren't there for the safari. Safari was like an extra thing we did, but it was like a community center type thing that we did a documentary on that they then were able to use for fundraising.
Okay.
Now I just want to do a series called The Chronicles of Bloodworth.
I know.
And every week,
You just get a little
Bloodworth
hint.
tells us about dancers in Africa.
But I also like how when he mentioned the dance team, it was almost like you need a dance team for a safari. Like they can't, like the safari group is like in the Jeep ready to go. They're like, do we have the dancers? Okay, we're
No,
good.
they're chasing the zebras. Oh, you dancers! Ah, you damn dancers! Get over here.
But it was like there was that sense of like in the one Jeep we had the film team and they were like quiet and observant, and the other Jeep you had the dance team and they were loud and
Which just goes to show. I've been saying this about dancers the whole time, compared to film people. Like film people, you can count on them to be calm and reserved
yeah.
and obey the rules. But dancers, man,
No.
you don't want to hear about the dancing problems I've been having.
Rebels by nature. So there are two other interesting things about this game. Firstly, the director of this game and character designer is James Turner. That is, a Western-sounding name. This guy was the first Westerner to ever join Game Freak and create Pokemon. That happened in X and Y. Came in 2010. The first person outside of Japan, outside of the East, able to design Pokemon. And now he gets to make his own game for Game Freak. I think that's pretty cool.
Designing Pokemon meaning literally like the characters themselves.
Yep.
Like actually like conceiving of naming. And
So he gets a lot of hate. He made the ice cream cone.
okay.
But he also made Golurk, which is just sick. And Volbeat, the vulture one.
Okay.
Sick. So he's like 2 for 3.
You know, this kind of gives me, Temo kind of gives me hope in a weird way.
Go on.
Because we heard that depressing news not that long ago that Sega was like, yeah, we're pretty much going to focus on mobile and things aren't doing so hot right now.
Yeah.
Tembo the Badass Elephant reminds me of the Sega of yore, where they would put out really bizarre games that have crazy, quirky premises that no one else was making, and they're like, here you go. You know, like
This would absolutely be on a Genesis.
Yeah, this reminds me of Seaman or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. You know, and it's coming out on Steam and Xbox and PS4.
yeah.
Keep doing this stuff.
And this kind of ties in. Here's the other interesting thing about this. Game Freak has a thing like Google where people on their free time are allowed to they get like a certain chunk of free time at the office, work on whatever you want. This was James Turner's work on whatever you want.
Nice.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a similar story to how we got Grow Home.
Yeah, that is
You know,
exactly
it's like
that.
8
yeah.
guys within Ubisoft Reflections and like started messing with something and then they're like, hey, that's pretty good. Let's actually put it on the Steam store.
And it's a good game. And these are where the good games come from.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see a lot of people at Ubisoft being like, oh, my free time's over. Back to Assassin's Creed.
Well, actually,
kind of depressing.
Reflections is helping on Division.
Oh, interesting.
So, but I mean, they're going to be in crunch from now till forever, till the Division is out.
Yeah.
Because that's my question actually, is like how many, like do you think other studios could afford to just let people have 20% of their time at work be free time?
I mean, it's a risk, no matter what. It's kind of like Google kind of operates that way, where they're just like, "Hey, you guys just do whatever you want. Go around the table and just come up with creative ideas."
Yeah, Gmail was one of those ideas though. How crazy
and it's
is that?
and they've had there's all sorts of ideas that they've rolled out that were totally free, and then like a year later they're like, "Okay, we're done." And it's just like, wow, it's so weird. This is some crazy experiment that like didn't cost us anything, and of course people complain about. But you're not going to make money instantly off that idea. Like that's not something that you can put into a budget and at the end of that year you'll see a return on that investment of giving those people that time. But it's just something that if it's generally known that that's how your business practices, then there's something to be said for having your employees like working for you. Like so many people, probably like 60% of anyone who has any job in the world like is not super excited to get up in the morning and go to their job. And so
I bet it's more than 60%.
Yeah, I actually started at half and then was like, no, I'll probably bump that number up, but it's depressingly probably a lot higher than that. And so, and especially in a creative industry, it's like Assassin's Creed is a great example. And I say that loving those Assassin's Creed games and not seeing anything wrong with getting one of those. Like I think there should be franchises that it's okay if we get a new one every year because there is a way to do that if you shuffle it around between different studios.
Yeah. Wasn't there, in Andrea's previous thing, wasn't there somebody who basically spent the majority of that development time just like making the Notre Dame?
Yeah, a whole year.
Yeah.
One gal, a whole year, just Notre Dame, that was it. Which again, that was one of those things that like the whole time people were talking about everything that was wrong with Unity, like nobody was talking about nobody's like, can we just for a second take 5 minutes and just walk through this thing and look at it,
Yeah.
and say that this is an amazing accomplishment,
Do you go there multiple times in the game?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you keep returning to it.
Great.
And the first demo that they showed off, first time I got to see Unity, they were just like, and let's go to Notre Dame. Sure. Let's show this thing off. Yeah, that was definitely like a major point of that. But I just think there's something to be said for having people realize that like, and it's not something that like I feel, I got to do something cool. Like, Tenbo's got to be amazing. It's like I can actually put my creative ideas in and actually make this something that I believe in. And I think that's, it's not like you feel stressed out to make an amazing idea. It's like when you actually care about something, when you're actually doing something for fun, that's when people gravitate towards it. That's when people are like, yeah, that is the game I want. But you didn't really know it. It's not like how do you sell Tenbo? You know what I mean? How do you like?
You put
how do
badass in the title.
How do you right? But how do you pitch that? It's like that's not the kind of game you could go in and really sell. And it's like, okay,
No,
we're
yeah.
clearly going to invest in that.
Yeah.
But if you just make it and then you sit down and actually play it, like that's the sell.
Same with Grow Home. That's such a hard pitch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you got to make it first. It's one of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's already, thankfully it didn't have all that much marketing for people to poke fun at it before because, I've seen a few of those comments where it's like, oh, it's Ubisoft's tower, the game. Like the whole game is the towers.
We officially like towers on this podcast.
Love towers.
Yeah.
Let's get to news. Big news this week is bad news. Uncharted 4 has been delayed until spring of 2016. More than a year from now.
Yeah.
Probably about a year. It'll probably be March 2016. So that happened, everybody. Did you see that coming?
No, actually, I thought that they would be ready on that a little sooner.
Ben, did you see this coming?
No, I didn't see it coming, I would say. But I'm of the belief that however long it takes to make that game what it needs to be, take that time. I feel like Naughty Dog has earned a position where they're afforded that luxury and they don't have to put a game out before it's ready. So why rush it?
So the answer for why rush it would be their Sony bosses saying, "Oh, we need this."
Right.
So I do want to talk about that, Brandon. I want to talk about Sony's fall, which has at this point
as fall as in the season,
The
not
fall
like
of
Sony's taking
Sony.
a dip right now, right?
you're going downhill. You're number 2 now, Sony.
Oh, it's over. The gen was fun, but it's over.
Let's talk about its autumn. What is going to happen? What do they have now? Are they going to announce games at E3?
Well, yeah, E3's coming up, so that might be it. That they kind of like are finally locking down everything that they're going to be announcing at E3, and they're like, okay, we can maybe take this hit.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit preemptive to worry because I if E3 comes and goes and we're like, oh man, there's not that much coming out that fall, then let's be worried. But I also think, Metal Gear Solid 5 is coming out in September.
Mm-hmm.
Batman's coming out in November. There's going to be stuff to play. I'm not that worried about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look at what this fall was, again, almost nothing. There was like Little Big Planet and Drive Club this
Right.
fall.
Did you say Batman's coming out in November?
Or is it not November? I'm sorry.
June.
June.
You just gave me
I'm
a
sorry.
heart attack, man.
I'm sorry.
There's a delay I couldn't take. No,
I'm sorry.
Not one more delay on that game.
Not this one.
Completely
No, not this
incorrect
one.
on that.
I wasn't surprised because, or it didn't really like impact me a lot because we haven't really seen a lot from Uncharted, and what we've seen is like clearly the opening of the game, right? I mean, like that's like the first thing you do
Yeah.
is you wake up on that beach. And
We've seen more of Uncharted than we have seen Halo 5. You know what I mean?
That's not true. We had a beta for Halo 5.
A multiplayer beta.
Yeah.
You're right, though. That is a game.
We've played
Yeah.
Halo 5. I mean,
Okay.
like, and granted, the multiplayer is probably the most important thing.
We've seen more of Uncharted than we've seen in the new Call of Duty, though. You know what I mean? And the new Assassin's Creed that we'll have this fall.
But
We've
Call of
seen-
Duty is like an institution where Uncharted, you really like Call of Duty. You don't really at this point, point your finger at one specific developer for Call of Duty. Whereas like this is Naughty Dog's baby.
Yes.
This is like after they make Uncharted and move on to whatever project is next. What they did with Uncharted 4 is going to suggest what they're going to do. The quality of that game is going to clue people's minds into what they're capable of doing on the PlayStation 4 or just in the next gen on these new consoles. And so they're like, we don't want to mess this up. We don't want you to think that like something weird happened with the team. And so that's the thing is like, I think if we had seen more of Uncharted and then got this announcement, we'd be worried like, whoa, something's happening, something's going wrong. But if it's so early in development and we haven't, there's still so much of this game that we haven't seen. And granted, like the world was beautiful, but there was nothing like really bizarre. I think like seeing the desert in Uncharted 3 was like, oh wow, what a weird environment. Whereas like seeing Drake in a jungle is like, okay, it's Uncharted, here we go. It's kind of like not more of the same, but typical of what we've seen so far of the franchise. So if it was kind of darting in all these different creative directions, and then we got this huge delay, then you get the sense like, uh-oh, something happened. They're clearly like really far along, and then now they're diverting. Whereas like I think it's kind of cool that they haven't released a lot yet, or kind of looking at the the huge arc of their development time and are realizing, yeah, this is like just like what they said. They're like, this is bigger than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, that's always what you want to hear.
And to be fair, weird stuff did happen on the team. It lost its director and lead writer. Pretty close to be like the project was in production at that point. So they did have to restart it.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because they went out of their way to say that wouldn't affect the game, and now I think it clearly
we knew better
has.
at the time. Yeah.
Man, thinking about it, Uncharted 4 is in such a strange position because it can't do too much of either way. If it's very much in the vein of Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 2, it'll still be good, but people will be disappointed. Mm-hmm. And if it's too dark and too depressing, people are going to be disappointed. So it has to tread this very fine line between being familiar and being completely different. And I don't know exactly how they do that.
I think it's going dark. I think they're going hard on the other side.
Do you think people will be disappointed by that?
No, I think that this is going to sound crazy. I think that the fan base for The Last of Us is bigger than the fan base for Uncharted. And I think that the people who played The Last of Us are going to want to play Uncharted 4 and see what Naughty Dog's working on next.
But I don't want Uncharted to become The Last of Us. Like,
Yeah.
Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 have very serious moments, but the reason I like that series so much is because Nathan Drake is so charismatic, is because he's able to crack jokes in the middle of a fight. Like, there's something to that I think is so vital to the franchise that if that gets drowned out, I'll be bummed out.
The way Uncharted 2 ends with, what's the blonde woman's name? It's Drake and the blonde woman. They're just staring off at the mountains, and they're like cracking jokes at each other after this whole adventure they had.
Right.
I was like, that was a video game.
Right.
That was a good game.
Yeah.
And I really do. I love it for its levity. I do like Uncharted for those reasons.
We're gonna get so much crap for not remembering this. I'm like, I want to say Ellie, and I'm like, oh, it's not Ellie.
When you play
Lisa?
video games every day for your job, you'd be amazed at the things you forget. You
Sure,
know?
yeah.
It's like there's only so much space in your brain. It's crazy.
It's also called The Thief's End. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
They called it that for a reason.
Yeah.
That teaser that they first suggested was like something's gonna happen. And we don't really know. Like when they say a thief, are they referring to Drake? Like, is he a thief? I guess. It's like, so yeah. So he's ending his career, he's going to die, or they're referring to someone else. And so there's something that we don't know. There's some story element that they're saying.
A post Last of Us Naughty Dog world is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
In some ways, I think it's harder to go from Last of Us back to Uncharted than it is to go from Uncharted to Last of Us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because the expectations that Last of Us sets maybe don't necessarily fit Uncharted. You know what I mean? So I'm very interested to see it. It will probably be the most ambitious Uncharted game for sure.
And I like that you say that, Ben, because I do feel like the demo we saw was not the most ambitious Uncharted.
No.
Yeah.
Elena.
Nice. Blood, you saved us. Everyone who typed in the comment is so bummed. I thought I had him. Blood, great pull, man. That was pro.
What weirdly bums me out when I see a new game trailer is when I'm like, this looks like more of the same, but really good looking. I just get this weird, empty, flat feeling. I'm not excited. It's just, yeah, I know I'll play it and it will look really pretty.
Can you give us a recent example of this?
Uncharted 4.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think it will be a very, very good game.
Yeah.
But when I saw that demo, I was just like, yeah, this is a newer version of what I played last generation, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a slight against the game, but it didn't it didn't make me jump up. It didn't make me excited. You know, when you see The Last of Us, you know, that first trailer, you're like, whoa,
Right.
what is going to happen? This is unfamiliar to me, and you're intrigued. Whereas, you know, there's this familiarity with Uncharted.
I think that's a smart play with next gen, though. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of like the concrete that they're laying down. It's like, okay, this is us taking the experience that you know and moving it into a new generation, and then
Right.
putting the little tease at the end with a new character, you know, a new family tie, you know, and suggesting like, okay, now where do we go from here? Now they're going off into some place. You have the big wide shot pulling back. It's like, okay, now you can see the island, you can see, or this, you know, this peninsula or whatever, like this environment that you're going to be exploring for the first part, if not all of the whole game. So I think it's smart, you know, like, because that's a big question, you know, moving into next gen is like that first trailer. It's like, okay, what are you messing with it, or what are you doing? And so I think if they did something really bizarre, like that, people get really nervous. They're like, oh no, this is the new weird Uncharted we're going to get for new gen. Whereas like they're like, no, it's the same thing that you love, although there's questions that we'll answer down the road. So yeah, for me it was a smart play.
So I was having a weird conversation with some friends about trailers. Like, if you're making a sequel, it was about movies, but it's relevant. You got to just make something that people will tweet about. So we're talking about a new Back to the Future movie, and here's how the trailer opens. It's completely dark, and then you see Doc Brown, and then we pan out, and he's a spider monster.
What?
Cut to black. Back to the Future 4. That would get tweets. And so I think like Uncharted 4 would need something like that. It's got to have Doc Brown as a spider.
What? So you don't like the debut of Uncharted 4? You didn't think that gameplay demo was good?
I think it was good. It was GOOD. I think Naughty Dog wants us to be shouting and sweating about it. You know, they want us to be going wild, and you know, we aren't.
I don't get that vibe. I think they were trying to prove that they can do what they did before on new hardware, and that trailer that you're talking about, that weird like story thing. I think that's coming. I think that's basically going to be the next trailer that we get.
'Kay.
It's like, that's the story. Okay.
I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this because, you know, people know how crazy I am about the series, but that Persona 5 trailer, right? When I watched it, I wasn't just like, oh yeah, it's Persona 4, but it looks better on next gen. It had a completely different vibe. The style of it, the look of it, the way it seemed like it played was completely different. Yet this is the 5th entry in the series.
But the major difference is every Persona is a new story, where this is a
Right.
continuation of this character.
That's
so if
true.
you see Nathan's like, what? How does this tie
Yeah.
into 3 at all? You know. it's
Yeah,
like,
if we had the Wind Waker version of Uncharted, it would definitely get people
Yeah.
talking. But I don't know how
But-
how that reaction would go.
But I think that brings up another point, and I think you're right. It's tougher to go crazy when you're continuing a story. Something that I think is a problem in video games is stories just go on too long. Like, so many series are in
Assassin's
their
Creed?
are in their
We've lost
5th
it.
entry,
It's
6th
gone.
entry, 7th entry, whatever it is, and sometimes, even if we really like things, I think it's better for them to end than to just eventually be disappointing, you know? Like, I love it when things wrap up. That's like Metal Gear Solid 4 is an ending, and I'm super pumped for Metal Gear Solid 5. It looks insane. I'm going to love that game. But at the same time, it's kind of like you keep ending this series and then making another one, you know? I appreciate it when games have the balls to wrap things up, even if it comes at a financial cost.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And Uncharted 4 will get there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true. It is the end.
It'll be that one, hopefully. So
I
we
can't
had
get a Doc Brown spider monster out of my head. That's gonna be
exactly,
That's gonna
Brandon.
persist.
Exactly. That's
No,
why.
but that's not in a good way. What are you talking about?
That's such a good idea.
No,
you
it's
know
not.
it.
Man,
But Kyle,
it's
then you
not.
have to commit to Doc Brown being a spider monster.
Yeah, we figure that out later. After we,
Then it's just a gimmick. Then you're like, okay, then that's a gimmick. Like, there's no way that Back to the Future 4 could end up with him being a spider monster and me enjoy that film at all. Like,
that's where it
there's no-
starts. No, that's where it starts. And then it's like, well,
Well,
let's fix the timeline. Let's make sure Doc
It's
Brown
like
doesn't.
5 months earlier.
Yeah.
And it's normal Doc Brown.
No,
and you're
it's
like,
not 5
"Oh,
months earlier. No, it's like we have to team up with Spider Doc Brown to like fix the timelines. He's coming back to 1950 something.
I'm so glad you don't write movies, Kyle. I'm so glad. Or make
just
trailers
wait.
for that matter.
I'd watch it.
We have.
Whether I'd watch it or not is not the question. I'd be first in line to see that film. They wouldn't need to release another trailer if it was him as a spider monster. I'm just saying.
That's exactly.
If you wanted to take it seriously, Might not be the best choice.
Project Cars, also big delay news. Interesting about Project Cars, this is not its first delay. I'd
At
like to
all.
go through the delay timeline.
Oh, you
if
got
I
them all
may.
listed out.
Yep. Okay, so its original release date was in November. In October.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
You can go back to the beginning. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that game was originally supposedly coming out in like 2012 or something.
Whoa.
Or 2013.
So it's got a history.
Yeah.
But here's what's been happening recently, within the last 6
Originally, it
months.
wasn't even planned for these consoles. It was planned for the previous consoles.
Really? This was going to come out at Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3?
Mhm.
Those little wimpy
I
consoles?
was just gonna say. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is-
That's
it's
how we
still-
have to
it is
refer
still
to those. We
coming to
gotta
Wii U.
scrunch our noses when we say those console titles.
Wii U is an 8th gen console. Why would it not come to Wii U? What is it?
It was planned for Wii U for pretty much from the start.
Yeah, it will come to Wii U later. These release dates we're about to talk about are not the Wii U release date. Okay, here we go. In October, it was delayed until March 20th. So, like, we're in October and we're expecting this game in November. Nope, sorry, everyone, that's going to March 20th. In February, it was delayed to April 2nd. February was just last month. So we're like, oh, fine, we'll wait till April. Then in March, it was delayed to mid-May 2015. That's where we stand today.
Yeah, it's weird to delay a game like a couple of months. That's weird.
It's happened before. It's just weird to delay a couple months 3 times in a row.
Yeah. Well, I think the major question that I have is who's the guy's name that's putting Cars together?
Andy Tudor?
Was this his idea or was this pressure from him? Is this him reporting to his superiors and being like,
Well, he's the superior.
okay, well,
Yeah, it's Kickstarted, basically, this project.
So the
Crowdfunding.
buck
Yeah,
stops
well,
with
they
him.
crowdfunded it before Kickstarter was even on anyone's mind. So,
So
yeah.
there's nobody pressuring him to get this done at a certain time. There's no board of directors he has to report his
Well, it's
development
the,
to.
the thousands of fans that have invested money
Right.
and development time into the game, yeah.
I feel like something that's happening with alarming regularity with early access games and crowdfunded games is they get announced. There's a huge buzz around them. People are super excited. And then it goes away for a really long time, and they're like, here, play this thing for backers or play this early access version. A bunch of people play that, and then a year later, the game comes out and no one cares. And
Yeah.
it's just interest just nosedives because we're at this point now, the way games released is so weird where you sort of get your fill way before the game ever comes out. Like, I feel like I've seen Project Cars. I'm sure they're going to put a bunch more things in it, but they're having a really hard time maintaining just personally my interest. It's like,
Can we talk about Hotline Miami 2 for a second? 'Cause
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
been delayed a
That-
lot.
I had that in my mind, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, that was a game that needed to be announced and then come out like a couple of months later.
Right.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I played that game a year ago.
Hotline Miami 2?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And so do you feel, Ben, that today, like, its release feels something less than if it had launched a year ago?
Yeah, because when Hotline Miami came out, there was nothing quite like it. It was just overflowing with style, and there was this energy about it, and that built up a lot of goodwill, especially when it came out on consoles and Vita. Like, a lot of people played that game, and then when you announced Hotline Miami 2, everyone was really excited. But it's been so long, and in the trailers, it just looks like more Hotline Miami. It's not. There's a lot of ambition there, but that's a game that can't sell itself over years. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, every time you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, I played that.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, if you go back to Grow Home, for instance, like, they couldn't have had a long marketing cycle for that because in the one trailer, they showed most of the game. You know, it's
Sure.
There-
And that was about a month, right? A month from announcement to release?
it's about a week and a half between
Wow.
announcement and release.
Like,
That's probably the right way to do it.
when DayZ comes out on Steam officially, I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah.
I've already played so much, heard so much about it, seen so many YouTube videos. Like, it's done. I get it. It was very cool, but I'm over it. I've moved on to other things.
So how do we fix this? What do we tell Project Cars? Brandon, you're their new consultant. Should they have even said mid-May? Should they have just not like started a new target?
Yeah, if you're going to delay your game, and again, I do not know. I have no experience in delaying a game and then seeing how that affects sales. So like,
Yeah.
I have no idea the science behind like, yeah, we can delay it, but we can only do it a couple months. Just from looking at it, I get the sense that like he doesn't want to upset people, so he wants to give people good news every time it's delayed. But like I remember feeling like being like, oh my god, October is my favorite month, and a Batman game is coming out. I can't wait. And then it was just this swift, punch to the gut where it's like, nope, summer. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. It was tough. I cried. I went into the corner and weeped a little bit, and then I came out and I was like, all right, I'm good. That's great. That'll be my summer game. I can focus on. There's plenty of other awesome games that are coming out in October. And certainly when October hit, I was like, oh man, if Batman came out this month, I'd be in deep trouble. I wouldn't be able to play anything. So I think you make the big delay. You basically take. It's kind of like it's like every film I've ever been involved with. There's always like the director when I get on set and they're like, okay, we're looking to wrap up around 5. And I'm like, okay, we'll be done at 9. Great. And they're like, no, we're not done at 9. And we're done at 9. It happens every single time. Like it always goes later than you think it's going to. People are always like a little bit late. And it's like, I can understand the need of you want to make everybody happy and being like, no, we're really working as fast as we can and we're really going to get you out at 5. It's like, if you just say 9, you think I'm going to be upset because it's later, but I'm not, because you're being more honest with me.
Yeah.
And you're like either 9 or we don't know. It's like either just say it's coming out whenever, I don't know. And like I think there's like a fear of the fan base being like, well then I'm out. It's like, oh no, then it's clear to me that you're focusing more on the development of the game than how the weird math that's impossible to compute is going to add up to exactly when that game's going to come out. And so I think honesty is the best thing. And you actually, in the notes for GT Time, you commented on how Druckmann handled, the delay, how he like went out there and was like, okay, here's kind of what we're dealing with here. This game is more complex than we realized. We are human beings.
Yeah.
This is a new console. We've never made a game for this console yet. We are discovering things. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you do like get into a pocket of development and realize like, oh wait, we can really just blow this huge environment up, or we can add this whole new thing. Well, we got to release in a couple months, so let's just not do that. It's like, no, let's do it. Like it's Uncharted 4. This is the last game we're gonna make in this series. Let's take advantage of absolutely everything that we can do.
And a huge delay, kind of like Batman. Just
Yeah.
like this is a huge chunk.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I think that's
Right.
really smart. Again, just like you said, commenting on what you said earlier, it mentally, you put that game on a different shelf. You're like, okay, I'm not going to anticipate that. I'm not going to keep checking in with DayZ and be like, where is this at? I know where it's at. I know it's not something that we should talk about. When I get a trailer, I'm going to be very surprised. I'm not going to be hitting reload every day, being like, when's that Uncharted 4 trailer coming out? We shouldn't expect that trailer for a while. Like if we don't see Uncharted 4 at E3, we're not going to be shocked. It'll be like, no, they just said it's 2016. So like the next E3, that's when we'll get something, or, So I think just it's as far as you can push it. I think it's smart.
So I want to talk about the other side of this, the underbelly, the dirty underbelly. I want to talk about intentionally announcing a game ahead of time to reap the reward of hype. Particularly if you're a console. If you're Sony and you say Uncharted 4 is coming this fall, you might get people to buy it, and then you might delay that game, and those people already bought their consoles. If you're, you know what I mean? Do you think this happens? Do you think this is a true thing that exists?
Absolutely.
Do you think people like intentionally make unrealistic release dates in order to?
Yes. I feel like I can provide very clear examples.
Okay, well, I
think
want some clear examples.
Yeah, I think the clearest example to me is Gran Turismo PSP.
Nice example.
The
boy.
first time the PSP was shown, they had Gran Turismo running on that system.
Yep.
There was no Gran Turismo game in development for that system. There wasn't.
But people bought the PSP thinking,
Yeah.
yes, Gran Turismo will someday be on this product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it eventually did come out, I don't know what the development timeline on it was, but it was very clearly rushed. It was not what fans expected out of that series.
I'm not necessarily saying Sony is the most guilty of this, but all of the examples are coming from them. We got shown Final Fantasy Versus 13 in 2006.
Don't get me started.
Okay? Hold on.
No.
Get it?
That game wasn't even in development. In the year 2015, almost 10 years later, we still don't have it. Mm-hmm. Gran Turismo 5 was shown like very early in the PS3's life. We didn't get it till like what, 5 years later? 5-6 years later? I don't know exactly what it was. Yeah. Last Guardian, it's just a joke now.
Yeah.
The Agent that's nothing.
Right.
You know, like what is going on?
But all those things, which is weird, is like reinforce the purchaser's feelings about the console they've owned.
Right.
Like, oh, I love Sony because I love The Last Guardian.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is because we love these things so much,
Yeah.
we fall for it every time. Guys, realistically, we have no idea when we're getting Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
No, that's,
No
yeah,
idea.
Buying a console, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's a really bad move as a journalist to say that somebody's making a poor consumer decision, but like that's a bonehead move to buy a console.
Yes.
Just so you're ready. It's like what? That's like buying like a ton of sweaters in like the summer because
But-
like this winter is gonna be crazy. It's like what are you doing? You
But-
know, like
Well, they're cheap in the
well,
summer.
actually, yeah, no, that is a good idea.
Maybe this is just
Off-season, but,
exclusive
like,
to me, but I feel like my love of certain things can blind my purchasing decisions, as is well documented on this site. I would not have a Wii U to this day if Nintendo hadn't shown off Bayonetta 2.
Yeah.
Like, I loved Bayonetta 1 so much and was so unbelievably excited for that announcement. Instantly bought a Wii U after that.
Just to like have it prepped, just so like literally like instead of the Wii U on your shelf, you saw her like staring at you. And
In a
you're just
weird
like,
way,
soon.
it was as close as I could get to that game at the time was buying that console. I know because I've talked to him. There are people that bought a PS4 because Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming eventually, maybe. And I think it's really terrible that people do that. I think if your game does not come out within 2 years of you announcing it, you're mean.
Yeah.
You're mean.
Well, manipulative. I think actually Nintendo is good to bring up. Super. They've done this all the time. When the GameCube was announced, just showing Link and Ganondorf fighting.
That is the worst.
Yeah, I mean they did the same with Wii U. They showed Link with the fighting of Sweet Goma in HD.
Because multiple times they're going to be like, oh yeah, actually we didn't want to make that. We're not going
Yeah.
to tell you that we don't want to make that.
We're gonna sell this product.
But
Yeah.
I can't remember for sure with the GameCube, but I definitely for sure with the Wii U thing. They said that wasn't a game.
Yeah, this is strictly a tech demo. We're just
Yeah.
showing what our console is capable of.
Yeah.
But you might
but
see
it's-
something like this on it. Like,
Yeah,
don't you think
it's
that's a
very
little
vague.
unfair as a tech demo to show Link and then show the items on the bottom of the screen?
I don't know because it's like again they were very clear and upfront. This is not an Zelda game.
That one they were clear. So when they announced Brawl, Sakurai was not aware that they were going to announce that game. That's another example of just like, and Smash Brothers is coming to the Wii. He's like, hello, really? Am I directing it? Yes, you are. Okay. I'll get to
Sometimes
work.
I feel
Wow.
like Sakurai is the saddest man in video games.
Yeah, because he works so hard.
Oh man,
He's so good, and then just keep pulling him back in.
I'm dying, but please enjoy.
Right,
you-
he's
but
like,
you know,
his
consoles-
hands hurt. His hands, they hurt him to press buttons, and he's like, I will do it for you.
But you know, consoles are going to be cheaper. You know, there's going to be some cool bundle. You know, it's like why spend more money on it now to not play games?
Yeah.
Like there's a reason I didn't get a Wii U until later because it was like there's just no game. And I'm like, I absolutely have to buy that game. And then the time came. And
Yeah.
I got a great bundle. And I got a bunch of cool games with it, and it worked out. You know, it's like I don't understand. Yeah, that's weird to me. Like grabbing that console early.
When is Street Fighter V actually happening? I wonder.
I think it's spring of 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
to announce.
it's not like
Yeah.
a console's not like Amiibo where it's like, oh, but by the time Kingdom Hearts 3 does come out, oh, there's no more PS4s left. Sorry, you should have gotten one while they were there. You know, it's like it's gonna be there for you. You can go and get the PS4 and Kingdom Hearts 3 at the same time and save money.
But the way video games work, in a way, is it's hard, and I think the way that we're sold things is kind of depressing because you never want to be the person playing on an inferior system. Like, I'm not saying it's bad that people do this, but I feel like we're conditioned to believe, like, I don't want to be playing Destiny on a 360 or PS3.
Oh yeah.
You know?
we were
I
just
don't-
Well,
mocking
you-
Project Cars.
Right.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, yeah,
It's-
yeah.
We are
It's human
very
nature.
directly told that if we play on less capable things, that we're not as good.
I think honestly, it's like even if you give two children who are 5 years old, like one a slice of cake that's 45 degrees and another slice of cake that's 50.
Yeah.
The one who gets 45 degrees is gonna be like, "What am I doing? I hate this cake."
We said on this very podcast, the 360 and PS3 are wimpy consoles.
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
That's what's in our brains.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
What can be done? That was rhetorical. Don't, Brandon. Do you know?
Right.
Don't.
Don't
Not-
feel the need to buy the console.
Yeah, exactly,
Don't buy a
but-
console if you know you're not going to play
It's
it.
impossible not to feel that.
I mean,
Yeah. I've always bought a console for a game. I've always bought a console. I've never bought a console like right away because it's just like the first console I bought in this gen was the Xbox One. I bought it for Dead Rising 3. I bought it because like I want to play that game.
Sure. Brandon,
And I
I-
plugged it in and I put Dead Rising 3 in and I played it for a little bit.
Well,
what you're saying makes sense.
Right.
I'm with you. It's probably the way to go.
Right.
But I will always buy a console on launch day because when I buy a console, there is a hope that I have.
and it feels good.
You know, sometimes certain things in the industry beat me down. They make me sad. But when you say there's a new console coming, my hope is just completely reemerged. And maybe I'll be disappointed. Maybe there won't be anything to play. But every time I buy that console on launch day, I'm feeling good. And I'm not going to stop.
I think you should start a new show called Illogical Purchasing Decisions, hosted by Ben Moore.
Oh man.
Don't spend your
I
money
don't wanna
the way
ru-
I do.
I don't-
Starring Ben Moore.
Sure. We'll talk about it.
What I do want to talk about is what our commenters want us to talk about.
Okay.
It's that time again. Well, you're the one who started this conversation. Woo. Whoa. Is that a ghost?
You say that was our crowd going wild when you said that. You said that in a way like it's just like, ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Sounded to me like a ghost. I think someone died. This comes from Oliver241293. Hi guys, I'd like to know who your favorite video game developers are and why. This is one I'm actually curious about.
Just one. Just one.
I didn't look at these.
Just one developer.
Okay.
We do many. It's like that's too long.
All right, everybody gets one. Brandon, who is your one developer?
Rockstar.
Knew it.
Why is Rockstar your favorite developer?
Well, to build on something we were talking about, they know how to advertise games.
Sure.
Yes, they do. Yes,
They make. I mean, everybody's upset about heists, but heists are free, so calm down. You know, it's like everybody's like, I should get heists now, and it's like, okay, based on what? Like, what has Rockstar done in their history that has indicated how heists should roll out?
Well-
What has anybody done that has indicated how this free mode for this 16 now 32 player online mode that no one's ever done, that's ridiculously ambitious?
Again, it's just people getting impatient. Like, they announced that a really long time ago.
Right.
And so it just gets to the point where you wonder, like, hey, where are these heists at?
But that's all they did. And then the thing that's really funny that everybody says about heists is they're just like, they hyped this up so much. No, they didn't. You did.
That's kind of true. It
They
was like mentioned
released
in interviews.
one trailer
Yeah.
that said heists are going to be a part of online. That's all they did. That's it.
You give the internet anything, and they'll
Wait,
run
when did they
rampant.
release that trailer?
And when the first thing that first online with like the British lady who's like, or like the
Okay.
lady who's like, here's how online will work.
I'm
You'll
gonna
be
say
able to
that's
do
a
this,
little left
you'll be able
then.
to do heists.
I think that's a little left.
Okay,
that's
but
like-
a little left.
Yeah, it's a little left because it's selling a promise and then delaying that promise. It's like Master Chief Collection will work eventually. Just wait.
But there's no money burning a hole in your wallet. You bought GTA 5, and then you own it, and it's great. You can put it on the shelf, and then you can get heists later. It's not like WoW or some MMO that you're dumping money into, being like, why am I investing in this when I'm not getting the thing that they promised? It's all about money. If you're losing money, you can argue. If you're not, what's the problem? Like, what, I don't understand
That's
what.
just how people work. If you tell them something's coming, and then it's
Right.
way longer than they expect, of course they're going to respond that way.
Right.
Even if it's not necessarily owed to them, that is how people work.
I
you know?
understand.
I do want to talk about why Rockstar is so great, though.
So why Rockstar is great is because everything that they've done that isn't heists
Yeah.
is the antithesis of what we've been talking about with advertising and delays and stuff like that. Like they announce something and you're like, oh, that sounds cool, and then a couple months later it happens.
Yeah.
It's like Nintendo at its best. Like when you get something and they let the hype level, like people just hunger for Rockstar trailers so bad that like when it comes out, if something like Assassin's Creed, anything Ubisoft does, they just barf trailers. It's like there's like 50 trailers for Far Cry 4, and you're like, there's like 3 documentary series going on at the same time, and it's just like, oh god, I can't, I was already, you hit me at like the 30% point of your campaign, and the rest of it's just like, I'm done. I already pre-ordered the game. Just stop it.
That's really funny. Rockstar could easily do documentary stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't.
No.
Yeah.
They're not really invested in E3. Like they really just do things the way they want to do it.
Yeah.
And like each of their games has like 4 trailers. And then they're done. So like
they're all
every single one of those is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And all of their games are awesome. Rockstar is yet to Manhunt 2 is the only thing Rockstar, and State of Emergency
Okay, I was just going to say state of emergency.
are like the only things that they released that.
That's 2 gens away now, though.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I wouldn't. And even State of Emergency is not something where like I played it and was like, oh, okay, this is what this game was. I wasn't like, Rockstar, how dare you? Because again, like I didn't feel like Grand Theft Auto slowed down in order to make State of Emergency happen. It felt like just kind of an extra thing that they did. And Manhunt 2 was just, I don't know, just didn't really care. I didn't need a sequel to that first one.
Blood, who's your favorite developer and why?
Oh goodness. I don't know. I guess I'll just pick somebody, but I won't necessarily call them my favorite.
No, we
but-
need your favorite. I'm really sorry about this, Blood. We can't compromise on this.
Yeah, we're gonna compromise. Anyways, but I'll highlight CD Projekt Red because it's like.
That's your favorite. Just say CD Projekt Red is your favorite.
No, I don't know.
I've heard you say
I think
super nice
Nintendo-
things about this
Nintendo
team.
might be my favorite, but I think CD Projekt Red is interesting because it's like they still like operate so independently, but it's like they just fly in the face of like all of the big publishers and the big names, and it's like, it's like they look at Mass Effect and it's like, that's what you call multiple endings. Look at what we're doing. And then, it's like, you guys are going to like rip everybody off with DRM and DLC. It was like, well, we'll give everybody a bunch of free stuff with no DRM. And, it's like, and then like you go to see their demo at E3 and it's like, hey, everyone, look in your bags. You have a copy of the game when it comes out. It's like, what? Why? Why did you do that? Nobody needed that. And like, it was funny too, is because like there's that moment in the E3 demo where like they, like, it's the last demo of the day. So if anyone wants free beer, just raise your hand. Like nobody thought they were serious. One guy raises a hand. They bring out a beer, and then all of a sudden the whole room is like, wait, what? And then they start raising their hands too. And it's like they didn't coax everybody into the booth with free beer or anything. It was just like, here, try it out.
So you love CD Projekt Red because they gave you a free beer.
Rockstar never gave me free beer.
I actually didn't take the free beer because it was still working. But
Yeah.
And I had to drive right after that.
Yeah.
But
Straight back to the office.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's that kind of thing where it's like they are very in tune with. They want to make the kind of game their fans are going to love, and they want to respect them as consumers instead of like, give us more money and give us more money and give us more money. Like The Witcher 2, like the enhanced edition, they changed the last part of that game and added way more stuff, and they didn't charge anybody for it. If you'd already bought the game, you just got an upgrade.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, they just do things that are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are they in Poland?
Yeah.
Cool. That's not easy to run a business out of Poland either, I imagine.
I don't know.
Who knows? Ben, who's your favorite developer?
Platinum Games.
Nice.
Oh,
pick.
not Blizzard.
Yeah.
Huh?
What I love about Platinum is it's like they're in this own bubble. It's as if they're not aware of what the rest of the industry is doing. And every single time a Platinum game is announced, I have no idea what it's going to be. They make a game and it's like, hey, you play as a lady and she has guns on her feet. What? You fight a senator infused with nanomachines. This is Metal Gear now. Deal with it. There is this confidence and bravado and energy that every time I play a Platinum game, I'm like, oh, other video games are way less exciting. I get pumped up when I hear Rules of Nature. And people call it cheesy or corny or dumb.
Yeah.
But in the moment when you're slashing giant mechs and ripping robot spinal cords out of people, it feels amazing, and nothing else touches that for me.
That's cool. That's a really good answer. Their games are about feel, I feel like, and they nail that. My favorite is Naughty Dog.
That's a good pick.
I was gonna pick Nintendo. Nintendo's actually like 5 different development studios.
Yeah,
now.
that's
Nintendo's
the
kinda
hard
cheating.
thing is that like a lot of times like you have to like really dig in. It's like which team is this?
Yeah.
So, like the guys making this Mario game made, a different one, and they made Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, but they're not the guys that made Mario 64. And yeah.
Right. Naughty Dog's my favorite because of how much they've evolved. I think from Crash Bandicoot and then just like Jack and Daxter games.
Just their logo alone is really impressive evolution.
Yeah, just a logo, man, where it started,
That was
that
an
goofy,
ugly,
like
ugly,
weird Doug.
ugly logo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the Sega, the Genesis games. Yeah, I like where they're going. I like that, to play Jack 3 and then Uncharted. It's like, how did you do that? How'd you even evolve like that? Maybe it's because they started in a weirder spot, but I respect where they've come to. So thank you. I got another one, actually. Here's another comment. This is from Big Jim Slade. GT needs to start a band called Blood on the Bass. No real question, but man, like, yes, we do.
Well, we can't do it if you're not going to play bass when Rock Band 4
Yeah.
comes out. Any interest in the bass, Blood?
I mean, yeah, I haven't played much of it, but yeah. I basically like I did Guitar Hero 2, and that was about it. I just went back and played that one. I got the itch.
So we'll get Blood on the Bass. That's such a good
I
band
feel
name.
like Blood is kind of like Guile's theme in a way, because every so often someone will say, "Oh, I've got it! I've got a perfect name for this. It should be Blood on the X," and
Yeah.
it's always amazing.
Right, yeah.
At
Blood
one
just
point,
goes with everything.
We wanted to do something called Blood on the Tracks.
No, we did that.
We did Blood on the Tracks.
Is that not incredible?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
name goes so well.
It's
with
just a
everything.
fantastic name. I love it. Let's do some closing bets. Next week, Final Fantasy Type 0 will be released, along with the Final Fantasy 15 demo. What I'm going to
It's
do
the other
next
way
week,
around. The Final Fantasy 15 demo will be released in addition to Type 0.
depending on your perspective, absolutely. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to GameRankings.com. I'm going to look at the most recent 7 reviews for Final Fantasy Type 0. How many times will I see the word 15? And when I say 15, I just mean XV. I don't. If it's spelled out 15, that does not count. I'm just
Nobody's
looking for
gonna do
XV.
that,
Yeah. This just is to, like, if they say there are 15 levels, I'm not going to count it. Specifically, we're talking about 15 XV. Blood. You may choose whether you want to go first or last.
I'll go last.
Okay. Brandon.
15.
We're going to hear 15 times in 7 reviews.
15 times.
Okay. That's a great bet. I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with 6. Ben.
I'm going to go with 10.
Okay. Blood. What is your bet?
2.
Wow, you don't think... I don't know, Blood. Well, let me lock those in first. Okay. I think it's going to pop up a lot. I think reviewers can't help themselves when talking about Type 0 to talk about 15.
I just don't know that it'll actually make it into the reviews. But
Okay. I mean, you made your bet and you always win. Let's talk about last week's bet. Oh, I have to even like look up the results. I was too nervous. It's very close. So last week, we wanted to look at the Metacritic. We never did this before. The Metacritic user score for a game. The reason why is because the game we're looking at is DMC remastered.
Definitive
edition. Thank you, Brandon. To see if the user score would be better or worse than the PlayStation 3 version of this.
That's one of those games on Ben's list of things he hasn't had time to play yet.
You have to play the definitive. Do you have to review it? What are we doing with that?
Probably I just played who knows.
That list is distressingly long.
It's just going to get long.
maybe stream it. I don't know.
So while Metacritic slowly loads on my phone, maybe it's because this room is so padded, let's talk about what everybody bet the user score would be for DMC. There it is. Brandon, would you bring it up? Blood bet 6.8. He thought user would be kind of lukewarm on it. Brandon Jones bet 6. He said users would not like this game. Bossman bet 7.2. He said users would kind of like it. Huber bet 6.7. One beneath Blood to, I guess, block Blood off. Huber's a strategy gambler. Okay. And now Brandon's bringing it up. Brandon, do you want to do the Metascore? The user score is 6.6.
Oh, Huber.
Huber won it. He took it away from you, Blood. Wow.
What is
6.6.
6 even. Oh,
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
close.
That was suspenseful.
That was close.
Can I
He
tell you what it
real
was
close.
last night? It was at 7 last night.
Wow.
Wow.
Which would have been a tiebreaker, and you know how I handle tiebreakers. I'm honestly a little glad the Super Seat gets another point. So that brings us to Super Seat 4. Bloodworth tied at the Super Seat, also with 4. Brandon Jones and myself tied with 1 point.
This side of the table's not doing so well.
We're not doing so great on this side of the
If
table.
we add our scores together, we still are in last place.
God, stop that. We're going to catch up. It's okay. We made some smart bets today about Final Fantasy 15. So, Ben, what you've won, because of Huber's great betting skills, you are allowed to promote any video you'd like and then also sign us off.
Every time I'm on the show,
Okay.
I get to do this,
Yeah.
which I just think is funny. The video I want to promote is Ian and I were at GDC.
I'm sorry, who is Ian?
Ian is the guy. Well, he's usually.
Oh, there he
Everyone-
is.
people know him.
Yeah.
He's the guy with the crazy hair.
Oh, yeah, that's who that is. Okay.
He's very into Dark Souls and Bloodborne. We shot a very weird episode of Mandatory Update where I was actually the one behind the camera. everything was on autofocus. Hijinks ensued. That's bad. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's bad. I thought it was weird and funny, and people should check
And
it out.
different.
And very different.
Yeah.
The words "Loop's dog" come up at one point.
Loop's dog.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm
Well-
not going to explain that. You
Okay.
got to watch the video.
Yeah, it's your promotion. Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you will, sign us off.
Sign us off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking
This
at
is
that
where
camera.
this is where things get awkward. Is there anything in particular that I should say?
You just got to talk about Twitter. You got to talk about how thankful you are to everyone who would bother to listen to us for an hour. And
Okay.
then you have to say that we'll be back here next week.
Okay. Do I say all of our individual Twitters?
It's
or-
really funny when people try to do that.
Okay.
No, you don't.
And spell them,
Okay.
please.
They'll
Do
be
I
on-
just say
they'll be on
my
the screen.
Twitter?
No, you just say our Twitters are here, and then
Oh.
They pop up on the screen.
I'm sorry, was it
Okay.
Ian? Ian takes care of it from there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ian. Well,
Week
our
by
Twitters.
week, this proves that no one watches this show on the GT staff. I just want to put that out there. That nobody, every time it's like the end of the show, it's like, how does the show end? What are we? What am I doing here? Basically, proof positive. Ding.
I'm not trying to be rude.
I don't watch the show either.
I like GT time.
Yeah.
I talk to you guys every day.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't need to listen to you guys talk for an hour and a half.
Right.
Because I live GT time.
I feel that. I feel that same.
That's
Yeah.
all. That's all it is.
It's
I like
GT
the
time
show.
all the time.
I like the show. All right, our Twitters are here. Thank you so much to listening to our wild ramblings. Some of us got a little bit emotional, and please check us out next week. I love towers.